At the UN, currently 147 out of 193 nation states recognise Palestine, and the seat is held by the Palestinian Authority, which governs the West Bank, or is based in the West Bank, not Hamas. But that 147 state majority does not mean that Palestine is recognised as a full member of the United Nations. It is rather, or it has rather, non-member observer status. And that's because even though there might be a majority support for it in the General Assembly, if the General Assembly pass a resolution saying we want it to be a full member state, that still has to go to the 15-member Security Council. Now, on the 15-member Security Council, you have 5 permanent members. That's the USA, Russia, China, the UK and France. And each of those have a veto. And what's happened each time that the General Assembly has said we want Palestine to be a full member state, which again happened most recently last year, the USA has exercised its veto to stop that proceeding. So even if countries like Australia, Canada, France, UK, even if they recognise Palestine, and even if they support a General Assembly resolution, increasing the majority support for its full acceptance in the United Nations, there's no indication that the United States would not exercise its veto. So there's no possibility really at this point that it will become a full member.
So what are the political or symbolic advantages of recognition of statehood, Damien, either by the UN or by individual countries?
Well, there's no dramatic on-the-ground changes, but if the United Nations or if individual countries like Australia recognise Palestine, that's I guess affirmation. It's symbolic. It's affirmation of an acknowledgement of the self-determination of the Palestinian people, and people would say that that's important. A recognised state, though, at a practical level, does have the ability to enter into treaties and relations with other countries as an equal, and many people say that's significant. Palestine is not alone in being in a sort of a legal grey zone. Kosovo in the Balkans, it declared its independence from Serbia back in 2008 and is recognised by 100 countries, but it is not recognised by the United Nations as a full member state. And that greyness does place obstacles in its full participation, even though it is, for all intents and purposes, an independent state. It does place obstacles in its participation in international relations.
So can Australia or other countries or even the UN recognise a state without recognising a government?
Yes, recognising a state is a political act. Recognising is a legal act, rather, and recognising a government is a political act. So there are governments which are in power which are not recognised in the United Nations. So, for instance, you have the Taliban in Afghanistan, and you also have the Tatmadaw, the ruling junta in Myanmar. They don't sit in the United Nations. There's a committee at the United Nations which decides who will hold the seat. And in both cases, even though those administrations took power some time ago, the committee has yet to transfer the seat away from the previous administration to the current administration. So in both cases, they're people in exile and who've been in exile for quite a while who are the official representatives to the United Nations. Going back a few years, Somalia was sort of a failed state and there was no government there. And so during that period, the United Nations didn't accept sort of any particular representative from any single kind of warlord. And closer to home, you may remember Cambodia, for a number of years after the murderous Pol Pot regime was ousted in 1979, it still had the seat in the United Nations, again for geopolitical reasons. So there is sometimes this disjuncture between state and government, effective government in the United Nations, and recognition by states individually as well.
More on the Law Report on our own at 5:30 tonight or any time on the ABC Listen app. Thanks, Damien.
Thanks, Ros.